It's John Owens here from Ozzybrew, and for my latest brew we are going to be doing a Geordie Yorkshire bitter kit, but we're going to be kegging this one. There's Sam, say hello Sam. There's the Ozmeister, hello, who's given his name to the Ozzybrew brewery. We're going to be using a Yorkshire bitter kit from Geordie. We're going to be doing a mini boil with light spray malt. We're going to be steeping some torrified wheat, which I've not used before, to aid head retention, with some crystal malt, and then we're going to be brewing it up with 1 kilogram of beer enhancer, and we're going to be throwing the kit yeast away, and we're going to be using the Safale SO4, which I believe is fantastic for this type of beer. We're going to be kegging it once it's fermented out. I'm not going to do a dry hop unless I've got a little bit of fuggles, but that's what we've got. So there you go. Cheers guys. There's the Geordie Yorkshire bitter tin that I got from Wilco's for £10, and in this brew we used some crushed crystal malt, as you can see there, and Young's 1 kilogram of brew enhancer. I normally get this from Tesco Direct when it's on offer. Torrified wheat, this comes pre-prepared, pre-crushed, and aids head retention. I also used 500 grams of light DME, also to aid head retention and improve the body. And I threw the kit yeast away, and I've used the US 04. In this picture you can see me just ensuring that the steep temperature is constant at 166 degrees. And preparing my cleaning and sanitizing my FV and other stuff there. Bringing the DME mix up to a boil with the steep liquor, and after 10 minutes adding 20 grams of Chinook hops for the rest of the boil. There's the hops boiling away. And then once everything is done, sieving it off into the FV, adding the brew enhancer, and also adding the contents of the kit tin, the Geordie bitter, once it's softened in hot water. Then, once it's aerated and mixed well, adding the Safale US 04 yeast. After about 10 days, the krausen has reduced and it's looking good. Hi, it's John Owens here from Ozzybrew, and we've come to bottling day of the Geordie bitter. The wort has been fermenting for 13 days, as you can see. Lots of lovely yeasties at the bottom now. Fermentation has definitely stopped. Lots of yeast there. That was using the US 04 yeast. So it's come to bottling day. Hello Ozzy. There's my director's bitter. That's conditioning. We'll just go downstairs. I'm putting together a sort of, well, an end-to-end video for this brew, but not be as professional as you guys out there. Anyway, we are doing the bottling. We've been doing the there's the bottles that we've been putting in the sterilising fluid in my bottling bucket. That's a good tip here guys. You can clean your bottles out as well as cleaning your bottling bucket, because I'll be having to siphon from the FV upstairs into the bottling bucket. Put my little bottler on there before bottling. So then I rinse the bottles out and put them in this crate here once they've been sterilised, drying out, ready for bottling. What I'm going to do different this time, I've never done it before, I'm going to batch prime, but I'm going to use light brown sugar instead of cane sugar or DME or whatever. I'm actually going to be reading up on it, and light brown sugar, when you prime with your darker sugars, you may just get a bit of a hint more flavour in the brew. So it'll be interesting to see whether that light brown sugar does actually give it a little bit of sugary sweetness in there, but we'll certainly give it a go. So bottling will be ongoing shortly, gang, under the guidance of Mr. Ozzy, head brewer at Ozzybrew. Hi gang, right, I've just siphoned off the beer off the SO4 yeast cake. I don't know whether you can see that there. Well, that's quite unusual. It's like a mottled finish there to the yeast. There was a lot more yeast. Look at that. It's probably about 3/4 inch of yeast at the bottom of that, which is because I used the US 04 yeast there. A lot more yeast than using the kit yeasts. So there's a bonus for a start. Siphoned it off and added the boiled light brown sugar solution, and there's the resultant wort in the bottling bucket, ready to be bottled. I'm just going to have a little taste of the wort before I start my bottling. There we go. So it's a Geordie bitter kit, pimped up, torrified wheat, crystal malt, steep, etc, etc, mini boil, using SO4 yeast. Let's have a little taste. Oh. Tastes like wine, tastes like barley wine, quite sweet, bitter, very flavoursome. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a good one, I can tell. The wort tastes different from the other bitter kits that I've done. It tastes definitely like a barley wine, so it's going to be quite strong because I added the extra DME. Anyway, let the bottling commence, eh gang? Bottling continues. I've got my lovely orange caps, and I'm hoping this is going to be a good bitter. It's left a nice bitter aftertaste on my tongue. It's going to be a bit different, so I'm hoping after a month in the bottle it's going to be a good one. So there you go. Hello, and we come to the taste test of my bitter, what I call my Torrified ESB. If you've got to this point, well done. That means you've watched the how-to video, my first ever how-to video, going through the ingredients that are used in this brew and the procedure to brew it up. Just as an overview, I used a Geordie bitter kit. I did a steep of some torrified wheat and crystal malt. I'll come on to the torrified wheat in a little while. I steeped that constantly for 167 Fahrenheit. Did a mini boil of the resultant liquor plus 500 grams of light DME for 15 minutes. 20 grams of Chinook in the boil, and used a Sapphire SO4 yeast. Brewed to 22 litres. Now the Sapphire SO4 yeast did finish off at 1020, which I believe is quite common for Sapphire yeasts. But I did result with a beer of 5.5% ABV. Now, the torrified wheat, I've since found that using torrified wheat in an extract brew, like I've done, instead of using it in the mash in an all grain, is not the way to go. And it results in, when you do it in a tweak kit with a mini boil, it results in leaving starch in the brew, and even though it doesn't overly affect the flavour, you will get a bit of starch haze, what they call. So I won't be using torrified wheat again, but hey, if you don't try, you don't know, do you? Anyway, here we go. This has been in the bottle for 1 month exactly today. So here we go, here's my Torrified ESB. Pour in a nice bitter colour. We've had it cellared, so it's nice cellar temps. And there we go. Looks very nice. In my Smithwick's glass, it's got a nice creamy head. And it's a nice bitter colour in the traditional sense of the word. That's how I smell. You can smell the malts. Nice sweet maltiness and a little bit of hop. A bit of hop on the nose. Let's have a taste. It's quite bitter. Well, it is a bitter, I suppose, at the end of the day. Yeah, it's got a nice bitter, nice sweet on the front end, and then immediately you get that bitter aftertaste. Probably more bitter than some kits have done, or some tweaked bitters. And I'm just wondering whether the not overly bitter, but the bitterness that stays on your tongue is maybe due to the torrified wheat. I'm not sure. But it's a perfectly pleasant brew, as you can see. The torrified wheat, the crystal malt that are used in there, has definitely aided the head retention. It's a lovely head, lots of lovely lacing on that, and it's actually quite clear. It's not crystal clear like most of my brews, but it is pretty clear. You can see me through there. It's not far off being crystal, to be honest with you. It's got good carbonation, not too much. It's carbonation is good for the style, and I used a 1/4 teaspoon per bottle for this, and that's absolutely spot on for me. You don't want an overly carbonated bitter, not in my book anyway. But it's got a great head, good colour, and I have to say, refreshing. Very refreshing, lots of nice malty flavour, and then that bitterness kicks in. That bitterness definitely kicks in. But I have to say, not bad. I'd definitely do it again. And obviously I'd drop out I wouldn't use the torrified wheat, that was my error. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I'll just stick to doing the steeps with the crystal malt, some hops, and extra DME or liquid extract, but perfectly fine. So very, very nice, decent beer. That head ain't going anywhere. Very pleasant indeed. So thanks very much for watching the end-to-end video. Hope you've found it reasonably enjoyable, and I'll see you again. Cheers, bye.